Yeah, give us an idea, like an example. I know you probably can't disclose too much without being exact. If they can, that'd be perfect because then we could get a concrete idea. But give us an idea of like maybe something you've helped advise on that dramatically was transformative. Give us something like maybe a big success story, or maybe a de-risking story. That's just
Hmm.
as important too.
Hmm.
Like not doing the wrong. I've seen like by the way, I've seen like huge
Yeah.
disasters. If I recall, like this was a big one, which was when the federal government launched the My Pyramid
Yeah.
food pyramid. I think it was your old company. I think it was Accenture, but like there was like a lawsuit because it was like, hey,
Yep.
you guys spent way too much money to do this. It didn't work out. Because it's you already know this. When the stakes are that high, a big mistake is so
Yeah.
massive.
And everybody tries to stay out of those headlines. So you're right, Albert.
Yeah.
You're right. I can't give you a story from right now. So let me do something else. Let me take a story from 3 years ago, and I can't tell you with whom this is. So it's a large
Yeah.
premium automotive firm,
Okay.
and 3 or 4 years ago, autonomous driving was still magic. It's a little more structured now, but it was magic then. You
Hmm.
didn't know what you would buy, you didn't know what to buy, and you didn't know what to build. All you knew was a car driving itself was actually machine learning. But how much is it? How much is source code, and how much of this is sensors, and how much can a car do on its own versus talk to other tech platforms was not solved. So we got brought in by something very tactical. The car company called us and said, we are trying to structure service level agreements with this tech platform. And we said, yeah, sure, we can help with that. What services are you trying to get the service levels is for? And the question we got back, what do you mean services? It's like, oh, what are you designing for? Autonomous driving. I said, do you have a service description for autonomous driving? Of course we don't. Like, okay, so how can you have a service level if you don't have a service description? Because no one's done this before. I said, okay, so do you have a nail it and scale it philosophy? Are you in nail it or are you in scale it? Oh, we're nailing it. Ah, so you're co-creating. So you don't have a service description. Yes, we do, but we don't know how much to buy versus how much to build. So you see what happened is we went from something like service levels right up to strategy because you don't know what you're structuring in buy versus build. So we had to start back from the scratch and say, okay, let's take a step back and see what are we trying to do. Get a service description for autonomous driving, which at the end turned out to be machine language. And sorry, not machine language, machine learning. And getting the data out of a car from a test track, and that's like petabytes of data, back into a
Yeah.
data center, forget about cloud, because getting petabytes. And then you got to extrapolate that 300,000 times to see how you can teach the algorithms.
So how did you and your group begin to advise on this? Because as you hinted at earlier, there really weren't that many companies, or were there already a lot of companies exploring this? So you knew that this had to be done, or did you have something to reference, or how did you know, for example, that they had
It
examined
was
these
so
things?
new that no one else had done it, or if they did, they were not sharing it. So we go with this
Sure.
like we would do with anything else. You use the intelligence which is already in that Fortune 100 firm. It's just lying in pockets and silos. It's lying with engineering, it's lying with manufacturing, it's lying with sales. It's also lying with the tech platforms and the tech vendors. So the muscle you bring to play is how do you get to a service description on paper? You got to take multiple constituents, see what they have, and see how this comes together. So a lot of this is joining the dots based on experience. And once you connect the dots, you start seeing,
Gotcha.
okay, if we got now the atlas of the world, who can do what? And sometimes it's not just a tech platform, it might be a startup. And if there's nothing existing and something is deemed core to an enterprise, they would want to do this on their own. In which case, they would need a system integrator who does it for them in the beginning and then build, operates, and transfers it to them. So there are so many commercial models of how this can pan out, Albert. That's where the magic lies.
How do you go about collecting all this information? Because like you said, it's broken apart across the organization. Like when you sign an engagement, do they allow your team members to just interview everybody and start collecting this information? Or is this done like I guess how does it done? Because I do know from doing large scale software implementations. I've been a part of a bunch in my past. The number one thing everyone seems to be very concerned about is their employees' time. So like we did a social media management platform back in the day, and Hilton Hotels was our customer, and they wanted everyone at every hotel to have access to it. And they're like, training can be done in like needs to be done in less than 30 minutes. And we're like, what? It's like
Yeah,
this is how much that's how
yeah,
much they were willing to allocate on a
yeah.
per hotel basis. I was like, that doesn't sound like a lot.
I know, right?
they they don't want to
Yeah.
give up much time. So
Yeah.
how do you go about collecting all this
It's a
info?
great point because I think the mistake most organizations do is they start with either a technology or a trend in mind. So, like, let's go to social media, and
Okay.
you start the call with Web3. Let's go do something in Web3. That's probably the the wrong way to go about things. Uh, the way we do about it is we hatch or hitch onto a business goal that the company is already trying to chase. So, staying with my automotive example, they would be going after connected after sales, which is a thing. It's like, what can I sell to Albert after I've sold him the car? Now, maybe what I can sell Albert after I've sold him the car is if the car is smart enough to realize Albert's driving towards the Rocky Mountains, the car says, "Oh my God, this is getting colder and colder, and the elevation's going high. He's going to the mountains." What if the dashboard says, "You know what? What if we could sell Albert a conditional insurance for the next 6 hours for $13.99 only?" That'd be
That'd be
creepy.
creepy.
Creepy, but you might click on that. You might
Yeah.
click on that, and then you're insured for the next 6 hours. And when you're back to where you are, it's done. You just paid for an insurance. Now, who owns that? Is that Prudential or is it Ford?
I don't
Yeah,
know
right,
who's
right,
servicing the
right. So,
policy.
and then Ford is set up to take payments of $35,000. Are they set up to pay 1399? Can you pay for 1399 today using a dashboard? Do you know the complications going behind that? Payment platforms, right? So, right. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot because like like your signal could
yeah,
drop. You just said I'm in the mountains, like I get a blank signal, which means I won't get a
exactly.
success
Right.
confirmation. I don't know if I've paid
And
or have
and
I not paid. There's a
and
lot
then
of
you
things
start
that are in
seeing
play.
the things of things you need to do, and you say, "Oh my God, if that's what it costs," you start getting sticker shock. So you'd rather much start with saying, conditional insurance sounds interesting. What's that worth? How many Alberts are there? And
Okay.
do we know our customers, or do I only know our vehicles? Do I know the connect between my customer and vehicle? How much do you think we can make in this year? Should we start in Denver first because you have the Rocky Mountains there? Should we roll out then slowly? Should we go to the Northeast? How do we nail this first? What's the business case? Can we think in budgets in an agile way instead of in a yearly way? Can we be agile instead of doing agile?
Hey, thanks for watching. This segment is brought to us by Salesforce Platform. Visit salesforce.com/newsletter to discover timely insights and useful tips tailored to your role. Subscribe to this channel and get more great IT and tech interviews with top industry leaders.